Trying to keep from cutting my finger off. It's a good thing.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. One of the questions people have been asking me for a while is, what about wind generators, Bob? You talk about solar so much, but what about a wind generator? And today we're here with Jim in Denver. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Bob.
And Jim we have a wind generator here. We're going to unbox it, and I'm going to let Jim take it and learn all about it.
That's right.
Jim has a much more agile brain than mine, and he's a real methodical tester. You really do good at testing things.
I enjoy getting to the bottom of things.
Good. And so we're going to get to the bottom of the wind generator situation. Are they wasted money? Do they work? Just on and on. And we're going to try to answer all your questions about wind generator. As you can see, it's not a very big box. I'm really kind of amazed how small the thing is. So we're going to check it out. Before we do, we're going to cover a little bit of material. We're answering some of your questions that we get. So first we're going to answer your question, why would you want to buy a wind generator? So Jim, what's the answer to that? Why would somebody out there think to themselves, I need a wind generator and I got to go buy one right now? What's the answer?
For the biggest reason, when your solar won't put out. Stormy weather at night, just basic cloudy weather. That's the biggest. The biggest reason right there. If you're in an area that has lots of wind constantly.
Right, or even like in the desert. Well, you know, we spend our time in the desert. Generally, there's quite a lot of wind, and if a storm blows through and you lose your sun, you get wind to go with it.
That's right. You get a backup to your solar system.
Right, and of course, every night the sun sets, and no power coming in then.
That's right, and we all use power at night. We don't think about it, but we do. So it's nice to have a backup.
Especially if you have an RV. You know, a lot of us want to have some entertainment at night. We watch our TVs, we have our laptops on.
We have our lights, our booster. I use a furnace. My refrigerator runs all night. I use a lot of power at night. I didn't expect it, but I do.
Right, and the big one for an RV is the furnace in the winter and the cold. And in the winter, you have the least solar, and so that's when the wind generator will pay off the most. Yep. Is in the winter when you have really short solar days.
Yeah, you have the least power coming in, and you have the most power going out.
Right, right. So that's a big reason, is just in the winter. And so another reason, and I think maybe the primary reason you should be considering a wind generator now, is that prices have fallen so much.
Yeah, they really have. They went from almost too much to consider to really usable.
Right. For the same amount of money, well, I have a friend, and I'm going to base nearly all my experiences, and what I'm going to tell you is I have a friend with a wind generator. He's been using it for almost 10 years. I think I first met him like 8 years ago, and he's been using a wind generator the whole time. And back then it was like $800 or $900 for the wind generator, and then he had to set up the poles. So in every way it was expensive. And the problem is, one of the biggest problems with these things is the very narrow range of power.
Yeah, this particular one needs at least 10 miles an hour. Is suggested for 23.5 miles per hour to get its rated output. That's a lot of wind.
It is, and below then, and so this one's rated at 400 watts.
Right.
So at 23 miles an hour, you're getting the 400 watts, hopefully. We'll find out. And below that, you're not, who knows what you're getting. At 10 miles an hour, it starts at 10 miles an hour?
That's what it takes to get it moving and start producing any power at all.
Have you seen any graphs on?
No.
There's not a lot of literature on this particular generator, so we have to find out and let you know in a future video.
I'm going to be letting you know.
Right.
I have a weather station here. I'll be able to track how much it puts out with what wind speed. JimInDenver.com deals with designing solar education, I also teach solar cooking, and I'll list the internet deals I deal with. My YouTube, and we'll basically deal with all the things that I deal with every day. My solar, my internet, my solar cooking recipes, teaching you the equipment I use, what works and what doesn't. I hope to teach what I've learned in 30 years.
So Jim will have a regular reports on the wind generator, and he'll come back to my channel. We're collaborating on the wind generator and on a number of projects. And so he'll come back to my channel and give us a report on the wind generator, but you'll do, I imagine, frequent updates on your channel.
I will keep it updated. I want you to know how the equipment works and whether it's for you or not.
We want to give you a yes/no verdict. Is this worth the money or is it not? So, and Jim's going to do that mainly on his channel, and he'll just give us in-between reports here on mine. So the next thing we want to think about is why you would not want to get a wind generator. And the reasons are you get power mainly when solar kind of fizzles out on you, and it does. What are the reasons you would not get a wind generator?
The number one, in any generator creates noise, and a wind generator creates noise. They make a whiny electric motor sound when they're being turned, and you can hear it from a good distance.
Yeah, my friend has a, because I've camped a lot with my friend who has a wind generator. I don't find it terribly annoying. Like he's come to the RTRs many times, and so he'd be surrounded by people, and he'd come into camp. And some people found it very unpleasant. It's a very high-pitched whine. Zzz, and some people found it very annoying and moved away from him because they found it so annoying. It didn't bother him, and I've camped near him, and it didn't bother me. But it may drive you crazy, and we don't know. But the noise is a really significant issue that you need to consider, and Jim will hopefully let you know and hear for yourself how noisy this one is.
I'll be able to tell you what the decibel levels are.
Right.
And what noise it creates inside the RV.
That's a biggie too, because you're right beside it.
Yeah, it's literally attached to the RV, so it does transmit vibration into the trailer.
And we're not going to actually set it up in this video. I hope to do it with Jim in a future video for my channel, but certainly on his channel, he'll give you all the reports on exactly how his mounting systems are working. So between the two of us, we're going to give you all the information. Now another reason I think not to get one is the cost.
Yep.
When you compare it to solar, how does it work out?
I could easily, especially with the way grid-tied panels work out, set up at least a 300-watt solar system with an inexpensive MPPT controller for what this box costs, not including the mounting hardware.
Right. So it's not really cost-effective compared to solar as of now, but it produces power overnight and it produces power in storms. So you're each going to have to weigh the pluses and the minuses, and that's what we're just doing for you, is laying them out and let you make your own decision. And then there's the issue of no wind, and it's been my experience, mostly in the summer in the national forests, there's not much wind.
Especially in a forest. In the Rocky Mountains, it's either no wind or gusting so high it will shut the wind generator down.
Right.
We have had some times here in the desert that it would be enough, but generally it just is not enough. I'd rather have a solar panel up.
Right, and for my opinion, for most of us, they're not a practical thing in the summer.
Right.
In the winter in the desert, probably. I would say almost certainly yes, but that's 4 or 5 months out of the year.
Yeah, and you know, this thing's heavy, it's bulky, it takes up storage, the mounting system takes up storage. It takes time to set it up, to take it down. You got to find the right balance, and if it's worth it or not.
Right, if you're not going to be working 5, 6, 7 months out of the year, do you really want to drag it around and give it that space? In a van, I would have to almost have to say no because you'd have so little space. But in an RV, probably maybe, yes.
Well, I have a 25-foot travel trailer. I can strap the poles to my bumper. I can put the box, keep the stuff in the box, put it in one of my bunks. I have room for it. You are very space limited.
I'm very space limited.
Um,
I'm not carrying this, and mainly the mass are the real issue for a smaller space. How are you going to, have you thought about how you're going to put the mass together?
I'm going to use 2-inch threaded pipe with a coupler in the middle, a foot on the bottom that will go into a 4x4 or a 2x10 that will go under either a jack or a stabilizer under my trailer to hold it and then stabilize it up above.
So, and the main thing is getting it way off the ground. So you're planning on two 7.5-foot 2-inch pipes.
Right. Yeah, they expect at least 14 feet into the air. And being that it's going to be above my trailer, that means that there's going to be disruption in the airflow just because the trailer's there. And so I have to get it above the ceiling or the roof of the trailer to get anything.
Not only do you have to carry around the generator itself, which isn't too bad, but you have to carry around two 7.5-foot pipes. And man, that can be a trick in a van. I have no idea where I would carry the pipes in my van. It just isn't a practical possibility.
Right, and 15 feet of 2-inch pipe is pretty heavy.
Yes, it is. It's a lot of weight.
My trailer holds 3,000 pounds in cargo, and I'm really beginning to push that.
I bet you are. Your rig's starting to really settle down underneath it.
Yes, it is. Another thing that I will have to consider is if I mount this to the tongue of my rig, it will affect where and how I park so that the generator doesn't shade my panels.
Right. You don't want it to disrupt the power you're already creating.
That's right. Shading your solar is sacrilege.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. And like in most RVs, you've got solar kind of spread out over the whole roof of your trailer.
That's right. Yeah, it goes the length of my trailer. I'll really have to be careful about how I park. This will actually have to be on the north side of the trailer.
Right. So all those things are issues you've got to consider when you're considering whether a wind generator will work for you or not. Now, surprisingly, my friend who had a wind generator, and I've watched him take that thing up and down many, many times, and it's surprisingly easy. He just threads the pipes together. He threads that into the base. He mounts this to the end, and he stands it up.
Right.
I know for a fact, I've timed him. It takes him less than a half hour to mount it from starting to upright and running, less than a half an hour. He'll use I'm assuming you will too, an Anderson connector.
Yep.
An Anderson connector just pops it in, pops it out. Really easy to connect. That's easy. But so it's actually pretty fast, but it's still another job every day.
Right, and if you move every day or often, it's just another half hour it takes to move.
On each end.
On each end.
Yeah.
I have enough to do packing up the trailer and
Yes.
hitching up and getting it all ready and walking max and so it'll add to my jobs every day for certain.
And so I think one of the final and most important problems with a wind generator is the very narrow range of power.
Yep. You really want to get the most out of it, that 23 miles an hour. And that in itself, that's a lot of wind. It's going to be, it'll shake the trailer at 23 miles an hour.
Yes. So, and below that, it drastically drops off. You're only going to get the 400 watts at 23 miles an hour. And below that, it drops off pretty drastically.
Yep.
At 10, I bet you're not getting much at all.
Right. That's what it takes to start it turning. That's like your solar panels waking up in the morning at dawn. They get very little. It's coming up, but the wind generator, it's just beginning to turn at 10 miles an hour.
And I think it drops off over. Is that correct? We probably don't know that yet.
I don't know exactly. I know there is a maximum speed, and I know that the generator has a brake on it that will stop it when the wind becomes too much. So it's not like solar where, boy, it's bright and sunny and you're burning just as much as you can. If it's too windy, the generator will shut down and you won't get anything at all.
Yeah, so those are the pluses, the minus, and you're just going to have to weigh them and see how it works out for you. If you got the room and you're the curiosity, Jim seems to have an endless curiosity, I think it's something to consider.
I like to see how many options I can have to provide for myself out here.
Right.
But I have the room, I have the time. Not everybody does, so you can watch me play with it and learn and decide for yourself.
That's what this is all about, helping you to make your own best decision. Now, one question I hear all the time, and I'm sure you've heard all the time, why don't I just put the wind generator up while I'm driving down the road? Can't I just magically produce power while I'm driving down the road? Can they do that?
You can't. No, you can't. The drag on the generator itself is going to reduce your MPG to the point that it's going to cost you more to create the power than you're going to get out of it. Not only that, but at those speeds, the generator can become damaged.
You're driving at 60, it's not producing any power, I bet. I bet it's braked.
It'll break, and it won't take anything, a small rock, a large bug, a bird, and you're going to shatter the blades.
Right, so the simple answer is that it's just not, you're getting something for nothing, and you never do in the realm of power. So you can't run it while you're driving down the road. It just is not. It doesn't gain a thing. You'll lose in the long run. Let's open this thing up and see what we've got. We don't even know what we've got. This is new to us too. I'm not even sure the blades are in there. I hope they are.
Well, I looked it up online. I found more answers in the questions and answers section of Amazon than I did anything else. And from what I understand, the manual to this thing is not much help.
Well, it's pretty well packed. That's good. We're off to a good start. Here's your manuals. This comes with a separate controller. Sometimes the WindGen has it built in, but this one came with a separate external controller. This came as a kit. It came with the WindGen, the controller.
This is a PWM hybrid controller that you wire both the panel that comes with it and the wind generator into it, and you can also wire loads into it. But this generator does not require a dump load like some generators do.
Right, if it creates too much power, it's a way to get rid of it. And so it also came. This kit came with an extra. Oh, there's the blades. Good. So there's the WindGen, the hub that will mount it, the blades, and little hardware pieces.
Nuts and bolts
and I've got the manual in my hand.
Wires,
and there's really not a whole lot to it. My guess is that there's a factory in China that mass produces these things and sells them on a dozen different names.
That's right. I can tell you they recommend 14 gauge wire to hook this up. The interesting thing is these were supposed to be color coded from the website, and well,
they're not.
They're not. They're white.
So you won't know which one's positive and negative and neutral.
That's right.
We'll figure it out. Well, let's get this thing out of here. It's cold, isn't it? Boy, it's been sitting outside and it's been cold here.
It's cold and it's healthy. I mean, this has some weight.
Yeah. But it's not all that big.
You know, the hub and the cap aren't very heavy. I don't know what this is. This goes around the pole.
Yeah.
And these are the blades. So let's get the box out of there and we'll... So this is set up for a 2-inch pipe. I'm going to go to the hardware and have them thread me, as Bob said, 2 7.5 foot pipes. One will go in here and then drop down. Looks like I'm going to be taking the blades apart every time.
Yeah. My friend's has a one-piece, the blades in one piece. He just puts it on and spins on the...
Well, if I have room...
You would leave it together.
I can leave it together and just remove the hub.
Sure. Do you remember off the top of your head, this was $3.99 by itself?
No, I think it's $299 by itself.
$299 by itself. So what you're seeing here, without the solar panel, you could buy. Now this, and I gotta admit that might be worth the experimenting.
But I think at $299 you don't get the hybrid controller and you don't get the 100-watt panel.
Right.
So
you'd have to buy a controller.
I believe so. Well, and I don't know if this is what stops the charging when the battery is full.
All right. Well, yeah, it must. We don't know.
We don't know yet. These are all things that we're learning along with you. I'll learn along with you, and I'll report back.
But even for the kit, it's awfully cheap, because if you don't already have all your solar, you get a 400-watt wind generator and a 100-watt solar panel and the controller to handle them both for $440 or so. That's really a remarkable deal.
I'm gonna let you know what the pipe, the coupler, the mounting, the stabilization cost. I mean, as with anything, this cost one thing, putting it to use costs another.
Right. So that's all that we're going to do on this video. But as Jim progresses and does more, he'll report back, and I'll have follow-up videos, and I'll probably play them all together when you see this. I'm not sure. But so we're going to test this out, and we're going to know. Tell us again your website, Jim, so that people can follow along as you work on this.
My website is jimindenver.com.
Very good. So we don't have many answers for you yet, but we're going to get them. That's the main thing we're here to tell you today. This is the generator, and boy, it is heavy. Yeah, it's a pretty solid chunk of steel.
It's going to have to be stabilized up there.
Yeah.
Especially in the wind.
And that's why you're using a 2-inch steel pipe.
That's right.
You're not just throwing it up there on any old pole.
No, I'm not using PVC.
No, it wouldn't hold up. But we'll let you know all those things, and hopefully coming out right away as a follow-up video to this one. Be sure and check out Jim's channel. He knows a lot more about all this stuff than I do. I'm competent, but he's really an expert. And so check out his channel. If you got anything out of this, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you later.